So Rahag here for Punch Out Boxing in association with Fight Zone TV. I am here with a legend of the sport, and you are literally my earliest boxing memory. Terrible Tim Witherspoon. Tim, thank you for joining us. Yeah, as I said, 38 years ago, you came to London to whoop our favorite local boy, Frank Bruno, and you've been etched in my mind ever since. So it's great to speak to you. But Tim, before we go into that famous night, I want to get your views on all things boxing, and I want you to tell us a little bit about your story because you're from Philadelphia originally, I believe.
Yes.
Are you still living in Philly?
No, I'm like on the outside of Philly. I was born and raised down in South Philadelphia where Sylvester Stallone made the movie, the Rocky movie.
Hmm.
And I went on to become the real two-time. When they say, and the two-time heavyweight champion Philly, Rocky Balboa, I did the same thing. My mom took me to to Italian market. We bought groceries. We said hi to everybody. And then I went on to become the two-time heavyweight champ from Philly. So I used to play baseball right in that area and everything. So
Uh-huh.
um, that's motivation right there.
Absolutely. Tim, I mean, you were part of that generation of 80s heavyweights, but you were a little bit different to a lot of your peers in that you didn't have as much of an amateur pedigree. Can you just tell us a bit about how you got into boxing and what you did in the amateurs before you turned pro?
Yes. I played a lot of sports. I never was in gangs. I was around a lot of people that played sports every weekend and every day. I used to play sports all the time. So I played American football and I
Mhm.
did really good. I was like all Philadelphia and I won awards. Then when I went to university, I got hurt. I caught a pass. I was a tight end. I'm the big guy that catch the ball and run with it.
Mhm.
I got hurt. So then I came home from college, university. And then a couple of my friends were boxing. Buster Drayton, who was junior middleweight champion of the world. We were from the same neighborhood. And so I noticed a couple other they was doing it. I was like, boxing. I said, hey, let me try it. So that's how I started. Buster Drayton, Kenny Reese, a couple other people from my neighborhood um, started boxing, and I just one day walked to the gym with them. Me and my friend Keith Davis. And that's how I wound up here today. This is the results of me like going to the gym right near the Italian market. The gym was
Mhm.
right there.
Wow. So you were quite a late start then. What was you, 18, 19 when you started boxing?
I started boxing in like 20. Yeah,
Hmm.
19, 20. Yep, 19 and 20. I was an athlete. I wasn't a guy like mean, like I bite your ears off. I love Mike Tyson and I viewed boxing as a sport. So I wasn't scared. I wasn't scared and the contact was as expected because I played football. So a lot of people in the neighborhood was like, Timmy boxing because I wasn't like violent. I didn't go around beating up on people, and I was just really cool. Me and my siblings, we were really good people, and the neighborhood we were in was kind of rough, but I never was involved with a lot of the crazy stuff. So people was like scratching their head, Timmy boxing, and I just proved everybody wrong. I viewed it as a sport. I wasn't scared. I got in there. I'm used to contact sport, playing football, and this is where I'm at today.
Yeah, you must have
Yep.
been an athlete. How many amateur fights did you have, and did you win anything in
Okay.
the?
Yeah. I lost Joe Frazier's son my very last amateur fight. So he must have had like 50 amateur fights. I had
Hmm.
just started boxing, and I lost my first amateur fight because my trainer they put me in there with a guy, and this is unheard of. Like I fought a guy my first fight. He was like the three-time Golden Glove winner or something. And I
Hmm.
don't know how a novice got in there with a guy like that, but he beat me pretty good. He beat me pretty good, and then I won my next five fights. I won my next five fights, right? I was with this old trainer. I won my next 5 fights, and then we went to the Golden Gloves, and I fought Joe Frazier. Here I am fighting um, the great Joe Frazier's son, my very first really big fight, um,
Hmm.
and he won. He won the decision. He won the decision on me. But then when I turned pro and I had got a new trainer, they wouldn't have nothing to do with me. And I love Joe. I was around Joe Frazier in his gym. I met Marvis since then. He's really nice. But when I turned pro and I had got a new trainer, I was with this first trainer. His name was Clarence Booker,
Hmm.
and he really didn't know nothing. You know, young people don't know who is who when they first go into a gym unless somebody tell them who to go to. So nobody really told me, hey, this trainer's this trainer that. I went in there with Buster Drayton. It was his trainer, but he really wasn't. He really wasn't a trainer that would take me to the top. So I started learning at a young age these type of things. So when you young boxers go into a gym, do research, find out if they got good defense, if they got good offense, or whatever. Find out who they train before you go picking somebody to train. And I didn't do that when I first started boxing.
Very interesting. What was it like back then as an amateur? Obviously, you weren't a kid anymore. Did you have to fund yourself? Did you have a job at the same time whilst you were training?
Um, was after I had a job. Funds? There was no funds. There was no funds. You had to you had to just train. We had nobody backing you up. I wasn't a big time amateur champion. Nobody knew who I was, so I had to start from the bottom and go to the top. And so what gave me the motivation and courage was the people from my neighborhood that heard I was going to fight, and that's what motivated me. That and the fact that I got a new trainer named Slim Robinson. Everybody knew him.
Hmm.
Georgie Benton. Everybody knew Slim was one of the best trainers in that area. He also um, helped Mike Rossman, the Jewish bomber, win the light heavyweight championship of the world, and everybody respected Slim. And
Hmm.
so eventually I got with Slim and some nice these managers, and that's how I really started taking off. But when in the amateurs, they just knew I was a tough boxer from South Philadelphia, and I didn't only had a 7 amateur fight career, so it was lived. And I'm kind of happy that they turned me pro early, when they did, because I think the timing was right.
And what made you decide to turn pro? Did your coach recommend it, or did you just want to move on from the amateurs?
Well, you know what? I really didn't want to turn pro. I really wanted to get some more amateur experience. I really didn't know nothing. I didn't know
Hmm.
that much. And I'm sure there's a lot of boxers out there like that. They just get pushed into things.
Hmm.
So I got a new trainer. I started training. I started learning new stuff. And I was like, where has this stuff come from? The old trainer never taught me nothing nowhere near what I was learning. And I was like, slipping punches, blocking punches. You got a lot of blocks a day. The reason why they move a lot is because they're not sure of their defense. The old timers that was teaching us, they taught us defense so you could relax. A lot of
Hmm.
boxers, they move a lot because they skeptical of blocking punches. So they move a lot. I was relaxed because I knew if that punch came, I just go boom, slip it, boom. Now you got everybody moving a lot because they don't have good defense, and there's a lot of them out there. I was reaching out to guys like Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury. When I was in England, I spent a lot of time in England. My daughter's from the UK, and it's just a shame. I got a lot of that old time teaching, and a lot of those trainers passed away. And I'm one of those guys. There's a couple other ones that got that teaching. So I was relaxed when I was in the ring, and sometimes I didn't throw a lot of punches, and kind of like people was worrying about was saying, "Well, Tim ain't throwing a lot of punches," but I was maneuvering in just to throw the punches. It's a different kind of tactic. So I was relaxed, boom, catch a punch, throw back. Instead of moving so you don't get hit, I relaxed a lot more and I was more confident. So that helped me. I'd rather fight that way than keep moving and burning your energy when you can show people your skills and everything by relaxing, being nice and smooth. Boom, bang, bang. Sugar Ray Robinson.
Absolutely. As as someone who's been a fan of the sport for, well, basically since saw you that first time, as I said, I've been fascinated with the boxing culture from your part of the world, Philadelphia, the American Midwest. I've always thought the most skilled pros come from that part of the world. As you said, there's a tradition there that goes back 100 years, which sadly might be getting
Are
might
you
be
talking
dying
about the East Coast? Are you talking about the East Coast?
Midwest, your part world, sort of the
No, I'm on the
Philadelphia.
East Coast. I'm on the East Coast. The Midwest, the Midwest
Is
with Tommy
Philadelphia not?
Hearns.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
No, I'm on the East Coast. Philly, New
Uh
York,
huh.
Jersey, Florida.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay. I had an idea it's all the same area, but as you said though, Philadelphia has that great tradition for boxing knowledge. And despite only 7 amateur fights as a pro, just 15 fights in, you were ready for a challenge against the WBC heavyweight champ, Larry Holmes. So before we go
Yes.
into that fight, I just want to know, I mean, how in just 3 years, I mean, what was the training like that got you in such a short time? You were ready for such an accomplished champion like Larry Holmes, and you ran
Yeah.
him that close.
Yeah. I'm gonna make a lot of try to make it, my comments a little brief. What happened was I had a great trainer, a really good trainer that gave me confidence. He taught
Mhm,
me defense. So, when every time I got in the ring, was in the fight, I know the only way that I get hit is if I make a mistake or get lazy. Because we would
mhm,
practice on defense, which they don't do a lot today. You see a lot of boxers today just throwing all offense, and a lot of those trainers don't know defense. So
mhm,
my trainer taught me both. I was fully confident when I went in there with Larry Holmes because I knew where my hands were supposed to be. I knew I got in real good shape. I was kind of skeptical when they offered us that fight. I went to my trainer. I said, Slim, isn't this a little too soon? That's Larry Holmes. He said, Tim, you're going to kick his ass. And I said, okay. I had a lot of belief in my trainer. A lot of people knew he was good. And that was a lot of it. That was a lot of it. My trainer, I believed in him. He taught me how to block punches. He taught me how to relax, slip punches, deliver punches back. So when I got in there with Larry Holmes, I was real confident. I was
mhm,
confident. And if you see in the fight, he couldn't hit me. I was blocking all his shots. Here it is, a young kid, this young guy just coming in the game, and he's fighting one of the greatest boxers during that time, and maybe there's a whole bunch of other ones, you know, in life. So I was fully confident, and the things we drilled through when my trainer was showing me defensively, slipping, putting pressure on them, keep my hands up. That's what got me through the fight. You know what I'm saying? So if I wouldn't have my trainer, I definitely would have got stopped. I did have a lot of motivation. I had a lot of confidence in myself, but you need skills along with that in certain cases. So Slim was the one really helped me maneuver through this one, and I had fun in that ring. I had fun fighting one of the greatest fighters, and I only been fighting 3 years later. I started boxing.
yeah.
3 years before this, here I am, and no, was it 3 or 2? I
I think
started in
it's
'79. Yeah,
3 years.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Larry Holmes made me upset by trying to antagonize me before the fight. He was using tactics, but they backfired. I came from a neighborhood with really tough people. I wasn't tough in the
Mhm,
neighborhood, gangs and stuff, but I came from a bad area where, and they backed me 100%. So that good teaching and my motivation helped me do really well against Larry Holmes in that fight.
and how you did. Just want to know, like, in terms of the training, those 3 years of development that you had, um, was most of it like what, just technical drills? Did you do a lot of heavy sparring? I mean, we see nowadays a lot of these heavyweights in particular, they spend a lot of time in strength and conditioning,
I'm glad you asking this
building their
question.
muscles up.
Yes.
And some say our boy Frank Bruno, who you whooped, he spent too many time lifting heavy weights. What did your training involve?
See, they wouldn't allow me to lift a lot of weights, which I
Mhm,
regret right now. There's a certain way you lift and you do cardio to combine them together with that to help you in the fight. I think Frank might have lifted too much heavier weights, but if I was lifting, if I was doing weights and doing the cardio stuff, back then when my trainer would have let me do that, I do believe I would have did a whole lot better than what I did. He wouldn't let me lift weights. I chopped wood. I did a lot of cardio. But you could see Evander Holyfield and Tyson and I'm much muscular and stronger. Frank
mhm,
was, even though I beat Frank and maneuver, that was skills at that outweighed the power that he had. He was
mhm.
stronger than me. I caught him on the right areas to hurt him and knock him out. But I look back and say, wow, if I would have did the same kind of training Evander and Tyson and would do, I would have made it. I would have knocked Larry Holmes out in the first 5 rounds. I would have did well. I would have had a whole bunch of more knockouts because the old time trainers didn't believe in lifting weights and a lot of other things. And when I look back and see how Evander and all those modern days guys train with all those different apparatus, I do believe I would have did whole lot more better if I would have had that type of training implemented in my training.
Fascinating. Of
Yeah.
course, the fight with Holmes, you ran him really close. Yeah, I mean, how good is he? I mean, they say his jab.
Well,
Did you get past that jab?
what we did. See, I had a smart trainer. See, that's why I be looking at a lot of these trainers today. They don't know nowhere near as what my trainer did. We got guys with long jabs. We had like 3 or 4 guys that had beautiful jabs, and we practiced for 2 months blocking jabs because we knew Larry Holmes, his asset was the jab, and then he
Mhm,
take you off the right hand. We blocked jabs every day, not every day, but the majority of the time, our main focus was his jab because that was Larry Holmes' bread and butter, the jab to knock you out the right hand. We took
mhm.
the jab away. And when I went into the ring, I felt so confident because we practiced on that. So a lot of boxers, I don't know if they're doing it today, they got to get those videos of their opponents and try to take away the strength of their opponents, and it will help them perform a lot better when they fighting a guy. So if a guy got a great uppercut like Tank Davis, practice a month and a half, 2 months blocking that uppercut. And you do much better when you get in that ring. You'll be confident. And I don't know if the trainers today are doing stuff like that. We would watch videos and everything. I'm sure they're doing it. But
Mhm.
that's what I would be if I was to fight Tank Davis. I would practice a month and a half. A lot of guys throwing that left uppercut, blocking it. You getting used to it. So when you get in that ring, you know it's gonna come sometime,
Mhm.
okay? And you know you're gonna be confident about blocking it. So I don't know if those trainers are doing that nowadays, but that's what we did.
Incredible. So, like I said, Holmes, of course, you ran him close, but didn't get the decision. But then I think it was a year later, you had another go against Greg Page. This
Great
time,
page.
you lifted that famous green and gold belt that we can see resting behind
In
you.
the
You
back,
beat
yeah.
Greg Page. And that then brought you into that 80s merry-go-round of heavyweights. And I don't know how much you're at liberty to talk about it because there was a famous book, The Life and Crimes of Don King,
Yeah.
where he
I'll talk
talks about
about it.
your generation of heavyweights and how you guys almost couldn't stay motivated because of what happened. So you beat Page. Then you lost to Pinkland Thomas, but
Yes,
then you got back into the title picture beating Tobbs, I believe it was. Tony
yes,
TNT Tobbs, another guy who was pretty skillful to all
yes, he
accounts, but
was.
he got involved in drugs and what have you, like a lot of the guys did. I mean, can you tell us anything about that? I mean, we've heard some of the insane stories about, I think, your story in particular, that from that night against Bruno. Purses listed as being this much. By the time you got home and you see the final purse, it's like after all the deductions, man, you'd have been better off working at your local grocery store. Can you reveal any of those? Is there any truth to those stories? I don't know how much you can
Yes, it
reveal.
is. Yes, it is. You know what? When I was on an airplane flying over to the UK, I didn't even know how much I was getting.
Mhm,
I didn't even know how much I was getting. So and a lot of us boxers knew that Don King was trying to get Tyson on his team. So he stopped caring about us at that time. He stopped caring about us, me, Tubbs, Greg Page. Everybody was feuding over the way they're being treated by Don and everything. So, for instance, like the Greg Page fight, we were both arguing and telling the newspaper about Don King and what he was
mhm,
doing to us. So I played it smart. I stopped talking about Don, and Greg kept on. And I was like, this is like a power play. So Don King leaned towards me. So if it was going to be a close fight, I know that they would give it to me. So I had to play strategy then. And this is the way Don King wanted Tyson. He didn't care, no longer cared about me, Greg Page, or none of the other guys. He wanted Tyson. So, we fought for the title. I trained hard. It was miserable. I know I wasn't getting paid. Greg was miserable. I won the title. But I stopped criticizing Don, trying to use that as a weapon, and it worked kind of like, even though I felt I did feel I won the fight, but I knew that if it was a really close fight that he was giving me, because Greg kept on doing that. So then with Tony Tubbs, it was similar. Tubbs was feuding about the way Don was treating him, and I just kept quiet. But I did win the fight fair and square with a decision. I was more aggressive, and I won the title. But then after that, um, I tested positive with marijuana, and I gave Tony
mhm,
Tubbs a rematch, and so I was training hard and stuff. And then Tony hurt his shoulder, so I stopped training. Stopped training and doing stuff average people was doing. Then Don King called us back and said, "Hey, the fight is on." And I said, "Hey, I stopped training." He said, "Well, you're not fighting Tony Tubbs, you're fighting Bone Crusher." And I was
mhm,
like, I said, "Yo, man, I'm not." So, you know what? I was all fed up. I said, "You know what? It's time for me to leave Don King." So,
mhm,
what happened was I got together. I said, "I know that if we take the fight, I know I was going to win because I wasn't in good enough shape because we took off." And so I said, "Oh, I'm not getting going in there and get hurt by Bone Crusher. He's the hardest hard puncher. I fought him before. I won 11 out of 12 rounds. I almost knocked him out, but I'm not in
mhm,
shape now." So I said, "Look, man, I'm gonna take a dive. We're gonna take a dive, then we're gonna get some lawyers." A dive is when you get in the ring and you act like you got hurt and you give the fight to your opponent. I know if I would have went in that fight, I would have got hurt and embarrassed. So I thought at this is the time that we get our lawyers together and fight against Don. So, um, a lot of people said, "No, Tim, he got knocked out." I feel bad for Bone Crusher because I took a three. I told everybody in my corner knew I was going to go down in three. If you watch the first fight, I just walked straight through Bone Crusher. He didn't really hurt me at all.
mhm.
So, the three knockdown rule. I went down, had to be a good actor because they probably weren't going to pay me.
Yeah.
Okay, so I went down, I started crawling, acting like I was hurt. And then I went down again. Then the third time I went down. The best thing out of that fight that happened to me was I had a bad teeth up here, and I was supposed to get it taken out, extracted out. And they said if I get any medicine, that would make me sluggish for the fight. And so I spit it out after the fight. That was the best thing that happened to me. And my brother picked the teeth up, and I saved it. But I feel bad for Bone Crusher. That was our plan to get away from Don, and then we sued them later. But everybody, a lot of people say, "Oh, he knocked you out." Bone Crusher would say, "Oh, he knocked." I said, "Bone, I had to do this, man. I'm tired of doing this all the time." Don King. I went to England. I fought Frank Bruno. He got 1 million something. I went home with like 100 and something thousand, and I knocked him out in his country.
Yeah.
So I'm tired of it, and so that's when we got together. I hope I didn't take it too long, and we got lawyers and we fought against Don. So that was the end of it, man. I was tired of it, and so some people say, "Oh, he got knocked out," but he didn't. I gave it to him. I gave
Mhm.
Bone the title, and then Bone went and fought Tyson. And whatever happened, you're gonna have to talk to Bone Crusher about it. I don't know what, but he kept saying, "Man, I knocked you out. I didn't even feel nothing. I didn't. I didn't feel no punches." So I went down and gave it to him. I wouldn't lie to you. I wouldn't lie to you guys because a lot of people, my family, I would tell you the truth if he hit me. But I'm telling you the truth. He did not hurt me at all. I went down, I gave him the title. I was tired of Don King. Imagine coming home with 150,000 fighting Bruno, everybody getting paid to me. I was tired of all that.
I absolutely understand it.
Yeah.
Just want to go back to that night at Wembley. So yeah, it was your first defense. How did that fight come about? Did Don offer it to you? Did the
Which
Mickey
fight
Gall,
was that?
the Frank Bruno fight here in London? Like I said, my earliest boxing memory.
No.
Yeah, how did it come about?
He just tell us, if he got you a fight, you got to. I had no manager. Carl
Hmm.
King was my manager. Shania, get a extension cord and everything, okay? Get an extension cord so I could just hear it. I don't want this to go out. No, I got to be on here. That's my daughter. That's my daughter. She was born in Edmonton, but her family is from Tottenham. Her family's from
My
Tottenham.
God, we're neighbours. I'm not
Yes.
exaggerating. Edmonton is like a 10-minute walk from my house. So
Wow. Her family last name is the Londons. Um, they're the Londons, and her name is Shania Isabella Grace London Witherspoon. So
wow.
yeah, yep. So wait a minute, real quick, what was you telling me now?
Yeah, about the Bruno fight.
Okay,
Um,
okay,
yeah, you're saying so. Carl King is basically Don's son, and he's also your manager, but basically he's
yes.
working for his dad rather than working for you.
Yes. So you have to, if you with Don, you have to have Carl as your manager, unless you some really big, like Tyson had his own manager, I think. But
Mhm.
Carl was our manager because that's how Don take the money from you. That there's no okay if you ask Carl King something, he'll say, "Oh, I'm gonna ask my dad." Now, if he was our manager and representing us, he'll say, "Oh, I'm gonna go talk to him about changes." But he'll say, "Oh, let me see if my dad okay it and stuff like that." But we already knew the deal. The deal was Don was the manager and the promoter. He calls the shot. So, like I told you, when we was on an airplane flying to the UK, I didn't even know how much money I was getting. And after the fight was over, um, after the fight was over, I waited about. They send everybody home. We stayed a little bit afterwards. They
Mhm.
send everybody else home because they knew it would have been uproar. Everybody would have been mad. So they sent everybody home and made me stay. They made me stay, and I thought that was kind of funny. So then we flew home, and Debbie called me a couple of days and said that, okay, this is how the breakdown is. You got a 500,000. My dad get 150, and then no, my dad get 200 and something 50, and then there's all these expenses, and this is what you get. So it was like 150,000, and I was like, what? So I started cussing, And I said, I'm going to talk to your dad. Let me talk to your dad, because I thought I was going to at least give me 800,000 for
Mhm.
for doing all this. So when I talked to Don, he said, Timmy, um, you got a 500,000, and then you got all these expenses, and Debbie get hers, and this is what you got. So I started cussing. I was like, what the effort? What the effort? And I started saying, man, this is really messed up. Then I hung up on him.
Mhm.
Then I hung up on him. And that's when I started our surge into trying to get away from Don and and things like that. I really thought he was gonna like look out. If he would have gave me 600,000, I probably wouldn't have been suing him and stuff. You
Mhm.
know. If he gave, I went home with like 150, and I paid everybody. So I went home with like 105, maybe 95,000 after fighting that big fight.
Before we come on to the aftermath of your conflict with Don, I just want to ask about the fight itself. Yeah, I mean, was that your first time going as an away fighter? I mean, like I said, Wembley Stadium, we were all obviously cheering for our homeboy,
Yes.
Big Frank. He started off pretty well. Did you work him out sort of by a certain point, or did you sort
Well,
of just see him fade late as he often did?
well, everybody was saying that he couldn't take a good punch. So I didn't take him lightly. I took the fight seriously, but I thought that all I could do is if I hit him on that chin with that overhand right, that he'll go down.
Hmm.
But he proved it different. I was like, yo, I hit this guy on the chin a couple of times, and he didn't even budge a little bit. So that's why it took so long. So I was just we had a game plan, and I forgot about the game plan. All I wanted to do was hit him on his head because they said he couldn't take the best punch. So I started doing that, trying to hit him on it, and he was very aggressive. England was behind him, the UK was behind him, and a lot of people, 100%. That what gave him his motivation. He had his whole country. We were in another country. I knew that was holding him up. That what was holding him up. Then I finally hit him with that shot and ended the fight. But
Hmm.
all before that, I evaded our plan. Use the jab, relax, go to the body, and try to get in close and hit him with that overhand right. He kept his hands up sometimes too because they must have trained that because he did block a lot of those overhand rights I threw. But
Hmm.
we eventually got him. We eventually got him. Um, and I was always saying, I don't want to disrespect anybody. If Frank Bruno had my trainer and I had his, he would have beat me. I had a clever trainer. I have nothing against his trainer,
Hmm.
but Frank was basic, jab, 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 right hand. His defense was skeptical. My trainer had all that defense, everything, countering back. And that's what won the fight for me. He was determined. He wanted to win the title for his country, which everybody supported him. I couldn't believe the support he had in that stadium. But
Yeah.
they got mad at me. If he would have had my trainer and I would have had his, he would have beat me. He
Mm.
would have beat me. So they didn't like that. A lot of the people didn't like me saying that. But Frank was basic. He really didn't slip. He didn't really catch his jab. I was relaxed. I was comfortable. And so that's what I think. Well, he if he would have had a different trainer, it would have been a different outcome or a harder fight for me.
Well, as you mentioned, those top Philadelphian coaches, they are a different breed. So
Yeah.
after you tried breaking away from Don, you was in the wilderness for 2 years, I believe. And what was you just trying to resolve the whole legal situation with him before you could get back in?
Well, there was a couple of other promoters that I was dealing with. I was trying to get fights and everything. I was trying to stay in shape. I did lay off for a little bit because we were always going to the lawyers Um, and we knew that Don King had his lawyers. So I was trained. I was still training. So at one point, we, um, okay, so I was with Don King still. And what happened was he heard that I was seeing lawyers. 'Cause I'm sorry, we were seeing attorneys and we were trying to get him. So I was training for, I think it was the Bone Crusher fight. Yeah. So he flew me down to Florida. So I was in touch with attorneys, right? They were in New York. And how about this? 20 minutes from where my camp was in Florida, the lawyers was there. So Don King heard I was seeing lawyers and trying to build up something. So he thought he was breaking things up. He thought they was in New York and like in the Philly area. Don't you know when he sent me down to Florida to train, they were only like 15 minutes away. So when I was training for the fight Bone, it was Bone Crusher. Yeah, it was Bone Crusher. I was going down there talking with the lawyers, setting stuff up, going back and training, going back talking to them. So while we was down in Florida, we were trying to get everything together so we could go ahead and sue him.
Mhm.
So so at the last minute, I made that decision to take a dive because we were supposed to fight Tony Tubbs. That was the time we were supposed to fight Tony Tubbs. But then I just got tired of it and said, that's it. So after that fight with the Bone Crusher, Tony Tubbs hurt his shoulder, pulled out. I fought Bone Crusher. I was seeing a lot of lawyers after that. Then we had a settlement. We had a settlement and everything. But I wanted to go all the way. I wanted to go all the way, sue Don. If I lose, I lose. Um, but then my lawyers came to me one day and said, "Look, man, I think you better take this settlement." So I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know about law. I didn't, it was real up there where these guys, these lawyers at. They played a lot of tricks. So I did. I took the settlement and got away from Don King, and went on with my life. So yeah, that's what happened. My lawyers came back, and I felt something suspicious was going on. So I
Mhm.
said, I think I better take this here and get out of here and try to regroup. So I took the settlement, that little settlement. Everybody got their money, and so I went on about I was away from Don King, and it was like a new world to me once I left him. You know.
Yeah, I mean, compared to your peers of the time, I guess your struggle paid off because, like I said, guys like your Thomas, Pinkless Thomas, Dokes, Burbick.
Oh, Pinklin Thomas.
I mean, some of those guys really spiraled. Their life spiraled downwards. Some
Yeah,
of them
I
went off
fought
the rails.
Pinklin. I fought Pinklin real quick. I fought
Yeah.
him, but I knew he was only in there to for in Don King favor.
Mhm.
Don King. There's yeah. So I fought that fight. I was supposed to fight. Is that the fight? Yeah, I fought that fight, but I knew that Pinklin. He was in Pinklin corner. Pinklin won. He won a decision, so I went on with my life with that one too. I just went on with it. We knew what Don was trying to do.
So when you made your comeback in '94, you had a bit of a good run, if I recall. I remember you beat Al Cole, the cruiserweight. You beat Gonzalez, the big Cuban,
Yes,
who
I
at one
knocked him
point was
out.
highly rated. Uh, you had that controversial fight with Mercer, who was riding high at the
Okay.
time because
Yeah.
he'd just given Lennox Lewis a
Hell.
all he could handle. Unfortunately, you didn't get the decision, and you never was able to break back into that title picture. But
Yes.
I remember at the time, the writers, even here in England, were saying, "Look, the Spoon has got skills that most of this new crop don't have." So
Right.
it was a shame we never got to see you against Evander or Lennox.
Yo, those fights, I would have to be in good shape. I would have to be strong. They were much stronger. I think my skills were much better. Lennox was taller, determined, and Vander Holyfield was relentless. And I'm older than them guys. See, I'm a little older than them, and I went through a whole lot of stuff. I do believe if I was an up and coming boxer and strong, just as strong as them, because I wasn't as strong, but I had the skills. I knew where to hit you, where it could hurt you. And that's what a lot of the old time trainers tell you, hit you around the temple. They teach you to hit them around in the back of the air to hurt somebody, then finish them. These are some of the things that I knew, but in those, and I had a good defense. I
Mhm.
wasn't worrying about Lennox's right hand, or I would keep my hands tight. But I heard that his chin was skeptical. So I'm just saying these fights that I would have loved to fight. I'm a little bit older than these guys, but the conditioning and the training, they were stronger than me. I know they were. They were stronger than me. Tyson was stronger. Um, but I look back at it and say, man, if I was lifting weights in really good shape like Evander, it wouldn't take me 3 or 4 rounds to knock them out.
Mhm.
But because they were much better physical body wise, it would have took me longer, and it would have been a much harder. So a lot of boxers today, I keep talking about it. They're lifting weights, they're doing all kind of cardio stuff, and they're adding it all together, and it's benefiting them better now. Like back in the old
Yeah.
timers, didn't want you to do that. So I don't think I would have. It would have been hard for me to win against Lennox and Tyson and Evander. I would have to be in really, really top. I was older than them. I went through a whole lot. I don't think I would have won those fights because mentally I went through a whole lot with these promoters. And I'm just going to say it, man. I probably wouldn't have been mentally ready for those fights at that time. And I was scheduled to fight him. How about this? Um, Tyson would have fought me anywhere, anytime, any place. His management turned me down. I felt like Superman then. I was like, they turned me down. Tyson didn't turn me down, but his management, I was supposed to fight him, and they turned me down. I couldn't believe it. I'm over here sitting here and like not in the best shape. I don't know why they wouldn't take the fight, but the management didn't. Maybe it's because of the skills and stuff like that. Tyson would have fought me anytime and any place. I felt good about that when they said that Tyson, his team turned me down. I was like, okay. That was like earlier in his career too.
Yeah. Well, good reason too. So I've got to ask you about the heavyweight scene. Since your era. I guess since your generation and say that the Holyfield Lewis generation ended. American boxing, in particular, the heavyweights, they went off the scene. It seems like the interest got lost. There isn't the investment in the amateur scene, and we don't really see those really well schooled technical heavyweights anymore. It seems to be dominated now by Europeans, Brits for the first time.
Yeah.
A lot of Europeans, Russians, all of those guys. Yeah, I've spoke to Jared Anderson about it. He said what most people say. Most Americans, if you're athletic, they'll do what you started doing. They want to go into football. They want to go into basketball. If they got athletic ability, you got guaranteed, money, guaranteed,
Yes.
college bursaries, all of that. Is that it? And yeah, what could be done to revive this the heavyweight scene in America?
It's so easy too. A lot of the old trainers passed away, and they passed away with their knowledge. And there's still some guys out there like me that was taught it. That's what it is.
Hmm.
That's what it is, and you see it in a lot of look at it, today's heavyweights. All six of the top heavyweights hit the canvas. I mean uh, Tyson Fury, what Dante Wilder, right?
Yeah.
Wilder, Dante Wilder, you name them. Anthony Joshua hit the canvas. Um, A lot of those guys, Dylan White, they hit the canvas, and there's not a lot of good trainers out there. I don't want to talk negative. There's guys like me sitting around that got the knowledge that was passed down where, hey, they won't call me. I was reaching out to a lot of guys. Anthony Joshua could have got saved of a couple of his fights. I got that knowledge. I don't have to be in your corner. You don't have to. So that's what's going on now. A lot of the good trainers, right? They're not around. And the knowledge, there's very few people that they pass it on to. I'm blessed that I was around Georgie Benton and Joe Frazier and Ali and Slim Robinson and a lot of these trainers, Hank Durham, a lot of these trainers, I got the knowledge and then they passed away. Nowadays, you got guys that never fought before in the corner. You got guys that just had amateur careers. You don't have seasoned teachers in their corner. And a lot of fighters are winning and some of them are not. But you definitely wouldn't. They're not teaching defense. If you look, all you see is everybody throwing punches. You don't see somebody, a boxer, relax and sit there in front of you, relax, miss a punch, boom. You see everybody moving and putting their left hand up there all the time. If I had a boxer, if I had a boxer in the ring and a guy keep doing this to him, measuring him with his hands, I tell him to break his elbow. I'll tell him to hit him on his arm or his shoulder so he can hurt his shoulders. Now, only reason why you're supposed to leave this out there is only for a split second. You put it over their eyes and drop your right hand in on them. Or if you're left-handed, drop your left hand. So you're only supposed to do like boom, bam, not leave it out there. You see those boxers that leave their hands out there? They lack defense, and that's why they do that. They leave their hands out there because when punches get thrown at them, some of them don't know how to, a lot of them don't know how to block. So when you see them guys putting their hands out there, I would never train a guy to leave his hand out there. They following whoever they following to do that. I would tell them to break their elbow, hit them on that elbow each time they do it. But the reason why you do that is to drop your right hand, put it over their high for a split second and drop your right hand. That's what I was taught by the old timers. Now you got everybody putting their hands out there and don't even know why they're doing it. They're just doing it to make it look pretty. But the reason why you do that is to cover their eyes real quick and drop a right hand in and see if you can do it. You do that all during the fight, and you guarantee you'll probably get it through. So you see these guys moving their arms, and to me, that's embarrassing. And I tend to think that they don't know how to. Their defense is not that good. Why are they leaving their lead hand out there like that when they could be using it for jabs? Use the jab instead of doing that. Well, you want to look pretty? You want to look pretty? You want to what? Look pretty? That's
Yeah.
it. I'm telling you, those guys that leave their arms out there either lack defense, right? They lack defense, or they're doing it to look pretty, and they're not benefiting from it. So that's my opinion on those hands being. And I train somebody, they're not going to do that. They're going to put your hands in front of your eyes for like a split second, drop the right hand. That's it.
What do you make of the current undisputed heavyweight champ, the first we've had since Lance Lewis, Alexander Usyk, the Ukrainian?
Oh, Usyk.
Yeah,
Listen,
you
his
like him?
do I like him?
How do you rate
He's
his
a nice guy. But listen to this. When I was training for fights and I had sparring partners, Mike the Bounty Hunter was one of the best movers that we ever witnessed. Mike the Bounty Hunter. And there was other guys that move a lot.
Hmm.
And what you do with a mover, listen, if I was in somebody's corner against Yusuf, I would love to teach them. Because you know what? You go for his body. You go for the closest thing near you. When he does all that movement, hit the closest thing to you. Bam. Don't worry about his head. That's where you're going to mess up. After a couple of rounds, you're going to get Yusuf. I wish I was in the corner of somebody going against him. I was sparring Mike the Bounty Hunter, and my trainer, Mike the Bounty Hunter, was one of the best movers. Tyson even got upset with him because he couldn't hit him. I started going to the body all the time. I forgot about the head because you move here, you can't hit that. And this is Yusef. This is big. Or the closest. If I turn my shoulder, hit that shoulder. Don't worry about his head. All that movement don't mean nothing. And you're going to aggravate him after a couple of rounds, and then you're going to be able to hit him in the head. I was taught by the old timers. Everybody trying to hit him in his head. Talking about Yusef, I respect him. Everybody's trying to hit him in his head, and all you got to do, even if Yusef put his arm out here, touch it. Psychologically, you touching him. See, movers don't want nobody touching them. But if he leave his hand out here, and you touch that in his mind, oh, he touched me. Then you start hitting him to the body. Don't go for the head. Eventually, you're going to get Yusef. I know exactly how to get this guy, and it's easy because I did it with Mike the Bounty Hunter. He took his headgear off. He cussed me out. He cussed my trainer out. So we in the ring, and I'm hitting the Mike the Bounty Hunter, and I'm going to his body. I got the best of him. He took his headgear off, cussed my trainer out. Everything jumped out the ring. Do some research on Mike the Bounty Hunter. He passed away. His son is fighting. He was one of the best movers. He moved better than you said. And we got him. He cussed us out, and that was it, man. We had fun. Okay? I'm not telling you I'm the best, but I was around the best. And Yusef, to me, is an easy fight. I'm telling you. These guys won't call me. There's a couple of other guys that got that knowledge, and I don't even have to be in your corner. Let me be in your camp. I witness all this stuff. We get Yusef is an easy fight, but there's no trainers around to assist their fighter and to tell them how to fight because they don't know how to fight movers. I feel comfortable about fighting Yusef, serious, and he's a good guy though. Yusef is a good. He fought for his country. You got to give him the respect, and I do. I love that guy, but that's easy work. I'm telling you, easy work.
Fascinating stuff. So, any heavyweights listening, you want to know some old school knowledge? Contact this man. Terrible tip.
Yeah, keep jabbing him to the body. Don't worry about the head. Jab him to the shoulder. If he put his hands out there, hit the hand. Because psychologically, movers don't want you touching them.
Mm.
That's why they move. And they move a lot so they don't get hit. But that's how you get them. You got to get them this big part of their body. And then that's their body. Once you get this is going to be easier to hit. Oh, Shania, get the stuff.
Interesting stuff. And of course, Usyk has been dropped a few times in the amateurs from body shots.
It's
Tim,
on.
I,
Come
I,
on, hurry up. It's getting ready. Come on.
What percent is it on?
Just
sorry,
get the
Tim.
stuff.
Got to ask you about yourself. It's
Get me
coming up.
extension cord.
Um, what have you
I'm
been doing?
sorry. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Yeah, just wanted to turn attention to you. Since you've been retired, yeah, what have you been doing in your life? Have you been still involved in boxing? Been doing other things?
Yeah, I've been raising my daughter. My daughter that's from originally from Tottenham. I mean, yeah, Tottenham. Hold on. Let me put this charger on here. Let me see. Come on now. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. What I've been doing, is I've been trying to. I was focusing on my grandkids, and I haven't been around them. I've been traveling. Everything is okay. You all right?
Yeah, yeah, we're
Okay. I've been like focusing. I got 14 grandkids. I've been trying to help raise my little daughter who I brought here from the UK, Shania Isabella Grace London Witherspoon. I brought her here. I've been concentrating on trying to make her life a lot more easier because she's not with her family from the UK. I've been trying to make things like that work. I've been trying to reach out to a lot of the big time boxers to see if they need my help. Perfect. Just trying to be a grandpop and a dad. Because I haven't been around. I've been traveling. I've been fighting. Come get this phone. Um, and everything. So, but I was reaching out to a lot of the boxers to for so I can assist them. I don't want to
Mhm.
be in the corner and get glory. I don't want everybody to praise me. I just want some of these boxers to win. And I know money is a part of it, but I do know a lot of stuff, and I'll be seeing a lot of different things that where I could help. But everybody loyal. They don't. They rather be loyal than which is a good thing, but to get somebody in there that could help them. So that's all I've been doing. I've been training these two kids from Bangladesh, Saad and Red. These kids I've been helping them. My son has a boxing gym about 15 minutes away from here. I let him do his own thing. When I go into his gym, a lot of people just come to me and parents and stuff say, hey, hi, and I'll be teaching and so my son has his own gym, but and I'm just trying to and then love everybody. You know what I'm saying? I love Don King, even though he did the things he did. I don't want to be around him. I don't want to
Mhm.
like be around him and stuff, But if I don't go on with my life, then I'm just gonna sit around crying all the time. Not crying, but all unhappy. I got the rest of my life to live. I got a little bit more. I got time to live. I'm not gonna sit around like Mitch Blood Green. You remember Mitch Blood Green, right?
Of course.
I've been keeping in touch with him, helping him, and everything. And I'm trying to get him to leave Don alone so he can live the rest of his life. He keep talking about Don, this and that. I'm saying, look, we have to live the rest of our life. We have children, we have family, we have people that care about us. Just move on with your life. I've been moved on with my life. So, and I feel a lot better. And when I start saying that I love everybody, even whether they love me or not, that's a positive thing. And once I started doing that about a year and a half ago, I started feeling really good, man. Look, man, I love you, brother. I don't want to fight you. I don't want to argue. Let's try to work these things out. Things have started moving in a positive direction for me. I was kind of like this a long time ago, but now I tell everybody I love them. If I see Don, I'm gonna give him five. I love him. I'm gonna go on my life. I don't want to hear about that stuff that happened before. I'm two-time heavyweight champion of the world. I never thought I would make it that far, and here I am on your show. I'm on your show talking, and it's worth something. So I rather do that. I rather love everybody and hope everybody love me, and to live the rest of my life the way it is now. I wish I could get some more money though. I can get some. We could generate some more money. All these boxers out there, I can help. I don't have to be in your corner. I don't have to even be on your team. Let me come in town and show you some of this old time stuff. You know, and that's the way I am right now. Like I got my daughter, I got my kids. When I got sick, I told you about when I got sick, right?
Yeah, please tell us. We know you had a health
Real
scare
quick,
recently.
yeah, real quick. I had got up in the morning, and I felt the pain in my left side. I felt the pain in my left side, and I was coughing, and I was like, I felt kind of uncomfortable. So my daughter I had to take her somewhere, and so she said, "No, Dad, you sick." She said, "Let's go to the hospital." And I was like, "No, I'm gonna take you to this place first." So we kept arguing back and forth. So she started crying real bad. So I said, "Okay, let's go to the hospital." So I went to the hospital, and when I went to the hospital, they checked me out, and they checked me out. They took my blood. They started doing this, and then they came back to me, and they got my heart to start feeling better. They gave me all kind of stuff, and then about 4 or 5 hours later, they came back and said, "You're lucky you came in here because you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't have been here no longer if you would have stayed home." Or if you were to try to take your daughter to where she was going, they said you wouldn't have made it. And so they found out I had a big blood clot in my lungs, and I had a whole bunch of small ones in my left side of my leg.
Mhm.
And if I would have tried to go, like if I wouldn't have came to that day, I wouldn't be here today. And I want to thank you for having me on your show and everything. and my daughter helped me. So they went and did a major. They took all the blood clots out. They said I can't smoke weed or drink alcohol more for the rest of my life. And they said, and I really wasn't doing it that much then. I wasn't doing just no. And they said that I'm gonna have to be on blood thinner for the rest of my life. So I wanna just thank you for having me on the show and listen and have everybody listening to me. I really appreciate it. But I almost didn't make it, guys. I almost didn't make it. Like 4 or 5 hours. If I didn't go, I wouldn't be here talking to you guys. And I haven't eaten beef or pork for 50 years, and I haven't eaten chicken and fish for 5. But that still doesn't mean that you don't go to your doctor. Go to your doctor at least 3 times a year. See, I'm a herbal guy. I'm a herbal, like herbs and stuff. If I had if I had sickness, only thing I would take is penicillin. But
Mhm.
I was against going to hospital and everything. But now I'm gonna go to the doctors, but I'm gonna still be a herbalist. I'm gonna like take the herbs and that helped me. So I'm here, guys, and thank you for having me on the show. And if you want me to come back,
Tim,
I won't be talking as long as like I know you want to talk, but
Tim,
yeah,
it's been an absolute pleasure. I could talk to you all day about boxing,
okay,
but Godspeed to your daughter. Was it Shania who took courier?
yeah.
Uh,
You want to talk to Shania?
yeah, if we could get a quick word with
Come
Shania.
in, Shania. Just a quick one. It's from you're from your family over there. Come on, come on, Shania. Come on. It's just about 10 seconds. Shania, just come on. You're gonna mess me up if you don't. Here she
Tim,
comes.
I know,
Come on, Shania.
we,
Just sit
no,
down right here. I'm not getting my face on it now. Yes, you are. You're gonna mess up if you don't. You okay? Sit here. Sit here. He's gonna ask you. This is embarrassing. Come on. Sit down. This is Shania. Yo, Shania, you okay?
Shania.
You okay? She don't want to like being on camera. Shania,
Okay,
stop. You okay? You look beautiful. Go ahead. Ask her.
just want a quick word. Thanks for looking after your dad and making sure he got the help. Uh, did you know that there was something seriously wrong with him and that he had to get to the hospital?
Um, when I was coming back from a school situation, I could tell by the way he was breathing. He was like he wasn't acting normal. I could tell by when he got into the car and we were going back to like home. I could tell that he wasn't okay.
All right. Well, great work, loving daughter. God bless you.
That's now you're gonna ask her. Ask her some more.
I don't want to put her under pressure. She doesn't like being on camera. It's cool.
Well, she's gonna have to start. She's gonna have to start. The
We'll
next time we do something, she's gonna be on.
we'll let her build up to more of a media persona.
Just
But
look in and say, okay. All right. Look, anytime you want me, just give me a call and we'll work it out, okay?
fabulous, Tim. It's been such a pleasure. Take care of yourself and your family.
Okay.
And I hope we might even see you over there if we pay a visit, or if you can pay a visit to us.
Yeah. But you said you might come over here?
Possibly. I haven't
Okay.
been back to the US for 30 years, so
Wow.
maybe it's about time I paid a visit. So
So I
uh,
can get you from this number right here.
yeah. Well, this is our platform where we do our interviews. But you've got
Just
Mark's.
send me some information. Send me some information so I could like every like once in a while hit you up and see how you doing, okay?
I will do. All right.
All right.
Tim, you have a great evening now, a great weekend, and God bless. We'll catch up with you soon.
Thank you very much. I love everybody. Love yourself before you love anything else. Thank you.
Good night.
All right. Good night. Thank you.